Alright, what up, y'all? It's me and Lola here. We're bringing you today's after show, after party extravaganza with the now ubiquitous and proverbial trigger warning. And so, yeah, we talk about why the Kurt Cobain episode got taken off of Nancy's channel, and because we talk about the trigger warnings and why we need them, we need a trigger warning for that. So this is the trigger warning for the trigger warning, proverbial, to make sure that at this point, if you're still watching these, you know what's coming. You know, prepare yourself a little bit, that's all. Other than that, here we go.
Come on.
Always is always forever. 'Cause one is one is one. Decide yourself for your father. This one is one.
Ramble in a desert blind. Whispers of a twisted mind. Found paradise in hell. Stories only he could tell. Children of a broken dream followed his unholy scheme. Promised lands through bloody hands, swept beneath the devil's plan. Manson shadows on the wall, creeping closer to the fall. Twisted preacher in the night, spreading chaos with delight. Desert nights in eerie chance, serpent's eyes in a devil's glance. Heavens shattered by his word, preaching madness so absurd. Hope crushed in wicked fire, lost souls swayed by desire. In the dark they found their king, caught in webs his lies would bring. Children's laughter turns to cries, echoes of the night's disguise. Promises of pain and chains left them wandering insane.
Right. And everyone.
Hey,
Yep.
hey,
Off the show again.
after show.
Yeah. Michelle, you did say you left a comment somewhere, yeah, saying you'd had to have surgery on it or something. Sounded catastrophic. Awful, yeah,
It's terrible.
yeah.
I mean, need the wheels. I mean, breaking anything sucks. I mean, obviously, you need your hands, you need your feet.
Yeah.
Those are the worst.
Yeah, that's it. Well, you're immobile, aren't you? Yeah, you can't do anything. But no, it sounded really bad, like it twisted totally the wrong way. She had to have surgery to have it put back together again. Like, whoa. Sounded awful, yeah. Oh, God, yeah. And obviously the Canadian stuff is really important. Everyone, yeah, she broke her what? Yeah.
Her butt.
Mm,
Yeah, blame Canada.
yeah. And at least they're probably giving you good painkillers, aren't they, Michelle? Have you got the really good painkillers?
That's why she's not responding right now.
No, that's it, yeah, probably the painkillers, isn't it? Yeah. Mm.
Oh, James.
Yeah, on that Kurt Cobain stream last week, immediately got age restricted and restricted advertising on it, so made no money, and it's not going to get shown so much 'cause it's age restricted. And it's because of suicide and self-harm. But how can you talk about Kurt Cobain's death without mentioning it? You know, so it's like there's no way to edit it, is there? You know, you can't. Like
Well,
we were actually saying he didn't commit suicide, weren't we? But his death officially is still suicide, isn't it? So
I've learned, and I probably should have said something. I didn't even realize that it would be like this. But whenever you even mention unaliving yourself, someone unaliving themselves, you
yeah,
have to have like this whole separate trigger warning at the beginning. And I
yeah,
usually kind of do some of those for the after shows where we talk about like pedophilic type things with the Manson and the underage
yeah,
girls and stuff like that. But I just totally, I guess, spaced on that one. I'll do like another edit of it, and I'll do like a
yeah.
trigger warning intro, and we'll see if that one gets up.
Got a fair amount of views anyway, and people are finding it in search and that, but it's just frustrating. But there's more to say about that because there's the guy who's one of the guys who's meant to have actually killed him wrote a book apparently. I sent you the video of it. Someone's reading it. Sounds like it's from his book.
Right.
And
Mark
obviously he doesn't confess, but yeah, he says a lot of stuff that makes him sound like an asshole. Though he says something about the bassist from Hull that died of a heroin overdose shortly after Kurt Cobain. But he says
Yep.
something that sounds like a fantasy. Like I bet she didn't say that. I bet you just fucking made that up. And then he says after she'd said it, she said, "I want to date you. I want to go out with you." And then after she walked out, he jerked off on his dining room table or something. He says, "It's like, oh God."
Mark Lanigan was a very
Yeah,
interesting guy from those. He was the lead singer of Screaming
yeah.
Trees,
He was
and
part of the music scene, obviously, wasn't
yeah,
he? Yeah.
yeah, he was pretty. They were pretty big. You know, they were on the single
Yeah.
soundtrack with everybody, and they were kind of one of the forerunners of that whole Seattle scene. So he was
Yeah.
probably one of the ones that would have been a bit jealous of Kurt's success in the wake of
Yeah.
everything, too. You know.
And he was anti-commercialization of everything, wasn't he? He took a
Yeah.
dim view of it, basically. So he made other people look bad, didn't he? Sort of thing,
Yeah.
you know, who were taking all the money or whatever. Yeah.
Well, if you're not selling 6 million copies of your record, then you hate on everybody who does, and then it's really
That's it.
cool
Yeah,
to be
yeah,
like, oh, well, you're just being commercialized. Well, no, I mean, if your record was better, more people would
yeah,
buy it.
yeah, yeah. That's it. Yeah,
And I'm not talking shit because Screaming Trees were a really good band, so it had nothing
yeah.
to do with it. But
And it obviously spoke to people, didn't it? In a way that other people's music wasn't at the time. I think Nirvana. I mean, I cannot personally say I was into them when they were out, but I've heard them, and obviously, I think it's fucking awful what happened to Kurt Cobain.
yeah, that was on the Mad Season record. Long Gone Day is the name of the song, and Mark actually replaced Lane in a later version of Mad Season as well. So I mean, he was around the scene and was definitely a part of it.
Yeah.
Yes, James. Kristen was her name.
Yeah, but I said I'll make sure I share the group and I can share videos on the community tab as well. I'll share that because there's a sequel to that as well. There's like the same channel's done another video talking about the guy who wrote the confession. The cover of his book is called says Kurt, I'm sorry. The guy who claims to have witnessed it. What's he called? Joseph something. Yeah, yeah. But there's a video about him and the weight he carried. It's called. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and the
Yeah.
whole thing of it too is, now that the people involved are kind of dying off, getting old, they're starting to divulge more of the information.
Yeah.
Mudhoney were also a great band from Seattle from that era. Who? Joe Mama?
Well, yeah, is he still alive? Because I know there's a documentary of him being interviewed when he's much older, where he's really upset looking. But there's photos. The cover of his book is in when he was young at the time, obviously, when he supposedly witnessed Kurt Cobain getting
Right.
injected with the heroin. Yeah,
No, he's still alive.
he's still alive, is he? Yeah. Because if the police ever interviewed him since, you would think that when they reopened the investigation, they would have fucking interviewed these people. Because no one got interviewed at the time, did they? Because it was just recorded as a suicide.
What do you mean sort of stole his look? He would Goodwill flannels and Doc Martens, corduroy pants. I think everybody in Seattle was kind of doing that.
And he had dark hair, didn't he? Which is the opposite of Kurt Cobain. A lot of men bleached their hair blonde at the time to look like Kurt Cobain, I remember. But that guy did have dark hair, didn't he? At least, yeah. He had the opposite hair color. So he might have had a similar haircut. Yeah, that sounds odd. A mixture of English and some kind of Indian language.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just don't know how I would sit through an animated version of the Manson murders.
Have you seen the Chaos animated videos? They're weird, but they're quite good. They're
Weird.
watchable sort of thing. But the way they portray Billy Doyle and they give him a really stupid accent that makes him sound like a Southern American accent, but he's actually Canadian, like nothing like him. It's like they're concealing his true identity.
They should do it like South Park. How do Canadians with the little beady eyes and the
Yeah,
hey,
the jaws jumping around. Yeah.
That's the way. That's how you know they're Canadian.
Yeah.
You'll regret this day, friend! I'm not your friend, buddy! I'm not your buddy, guy!
He's not your guy, friend.
I'm not your friend, buddy!
We're not your buddies, guy.
I'm not your guy, friends!
Well, he played his role.
Yeah. The thing is anyone a monster, really? That's the thing. Fucking, we're all a human being, aren't we? That to me is the more disturbing thing about these serial killers and people that murder people. The thing is, if you were actually sat in a room with them, they're not a fucking monster. They don't have horns, and that they are just a fucking person. That to me is almost more disturbing than if they were. Do you know what I mean? The fact that human beings can be driven to act this way is more disturbing to me than thinking of them as a monster.
Well, like Steven says, Capistrano told him that the killings were justified. I don't know. If someone has that opinion, if someone has that perspective, I don't know how I'm going to be able to convince them otherwise. Just going to break in real quick and remind people that it's about fear and projection. And so when somebody says, oh, that person's a monster, can you believe what they did? What they're really saying is, I'm such a good person that I could never possibly conceive of doing any of the things that this person did. Look at them. Aren't they crazy? A monster? Blah, 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 blah. So that's what that's about when people call people names like that. Dehumanize them.
But what Paul said there about Sharon Tate, apparently the coroner did testify she was hung. I don't know if if he said it was before she died. That's the thing.
Well,
but they can tell because it tears the muscles in your neck. They can tell if you've been hung up, basically. And they said she was hung, but that's not what caused her death. They said that, and I know that, but I don't know if it's clear whether it was before she died or as she died. Or what.
Well, I mean, what Paulcast is saying here is that he saw the video saying that she was hung
Doris
while
Tate.
she was while
she was dying. Yeah, and that's Doris Tate. So she must have heard police stuff that other people haven't heard or whatever. Or they did their own investigation, didn't they? So who knows who she fucking spoke to and found? Because I mean, Nicholas has sources he won't divulge who claim to have seen them at that night and all that sort of thing. Other witnesses,
What if it came from the text tapes?
Well, no one's ever been allowed to listen to them, have they? They denied Deborah Tate to listen to them, didn't they? And no one had heard of them when heard of them when Doris Tate was alive. It didn't come out until around the time Leslie was trying to get parole, wasn't it? And Leslie's lawyer asked for them.
What if Stephen Tate or Stephen K had heard them?
Well, they fucking didn't have access to them. They got lost. They've been lost somewhere. Fucking between. They only came to California like quite recently.
That was like 10 years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, which is quite recently in the course of the case, isn't it? Yeah, and apparently, and Doris Tate was dead by then, I think, and Deborah Tate was refused them when she asked them. Tom O'Neill wrote an article about this, didn't he?
Well, she may have been refused access to them, but someone may have told her what was on them. Far as telling her, well, this is what happened to Sharon. We don't want you to hear, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. Well, apparently no one's fucking heard them. I've heard they've been completely lost. And this is like the thing that,
I don't believe that.
No one has them. I don't believe it either, no, but that's what they're saying. They're saying the text tapes no longer exist. They've all been lost.
Whoops, we don't have them.
Yeah, I think that's bollocks. I think they just don't want to reveal them and they're sealed somewhere. But I have heard that they've diminished in number, the number of them that there are as well. Some of them have gone missing over the year. And we've got to chase up what happened to Pastor Ray's copies.
Right.
Because when he died, there must be a record of his estate and what happened to them and shit like that. Because yeah, but I
Yes.
believe they recorded separate tapes for him. I think they made tapes for him. I don't think he heard the whole text tapes. You know.
Yes, and Dr.
Yeah, he
Thomas
did.
Noguchi did perform Sharon's autopsy.
Yeah, she was the only one he did personally. Everyone else was done by his assistant, but he did Sharon personally. Yeah.
And he oversaw them all.
Yeah, he oversaw them all, but he actually was Sharon was the only one he actually did personally. Yeah.
So that's how we know there may be some fuckery afoot. Here's the video.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a few pages on Facebook sharing these videos of Doris Tate and Deborah Tate as well, I think, talking.
And so the way that it worked, I think that the ropes were tied around their necks and it was put over the rafters, and they tried to string them up and hang them. But yeah, Sharon
Yeah.
weighed a lot with her pregnancy and whatever, and that's a lot of work, and to just to get them up there long enough to get it hung. So they just left them laying there with the ropes tied around.
Yeah,
their
well,
necks.
I've heard the version that Nicholas tells is that he heard supposedly from this this unnamed source he can't name. I think it's Manson himself. Manson said, "Just don't say I told you this." But
Right.
apparently, when they were staging the crime scene, they had got Sharon hung up, and they lifted Sebring to hang him. And as they moved his body, he made a moaning sound, right? And dead bodies can, if you squeeze their chest, they can make a sound. But that freaked everyone out, so they dropped Sharon and that left her in her final position. And they dropped Sebring as well, and they shot Sebring again in the living room. It said as well, because they thought he was still alive. Because he made a noise when they squeezed him. But fucking actually, dead bodies can make like a grunting sound or something. Just he could have been dead.
And so those would be the gunshots that they heard around 3 or 4 in the morning.
Yeah, there was another gunshot. They shot Sebring again, but it was only a low caliber gun, and it was inside the building.
But was it not the 22 caliber buntline?
Yeah,
Was
that's
it?
that's not so. Well, if it was the people that came later, it could have been another gun, couldn't it? Someone else could have bought another gun.
Not in the
Yeah.
autopsy, though, that there was another gun involved.
Yeah, well, that's it. They said the bullets came from the same gun, didn't they, that were in Sebring? And one of the bullets hadn't even penetrated him properly. It fell out as they took his shirt off. And I think that means he was shot at as he was moving away, personally. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not a ballistics fucking expert, but yeah, I think he was shot from far away as well as close up.
Well, it was Sadie that said the rope, but she was shown a rope by Bugliosi before the testimony.
Yeah,
So
and
that's
Tex
probably
doesn't remember a rope. He says repeatedly, "I don't remember anyone having a rope. I don't remember carrying a rope."
Yeah.
People say,
I
"Oh, well,
think-
maybe they're just lying to deny responsibility for it." But why they confessed to murder? What fucking difference does it make if there was a rope and they, fucking why bother to lie? This is what I don't understand when people say, "Oh, he's probably just lying," to avoid accountability. So he doesn't want to admit he carried the rope, or he doesn't want to incriminate anyone else by saying he saw them do it. So, but I believe him personally. I think they didn't fucking carry the rope with them when they went in there.
I think he didn't have the rope. I think that Bugliosi
Yeah.
showed him the picture of it. I think that Charlie and Clem brought the rope back. I
Yeah.
don't think Tex ever said that I'm the devil.
The rope
I'm
could
here
have
to be
fucking
the
been
devil.
there. Sebring was into bondage. There was probably ropes already at there, wasn't there? At the house. Fucking hell, who knows what was already
true.
there? And they probably just didn't want to admit that as well, because that looked bad on the victims, didn't it? Yeah, so they didn't want to fucking admit that at the time, maybe.
Yeah, but all the forensic evidence showed that Tex most likely probably did most of the damage.
Yeah, basically.
So
And,
I don't think he minimized anybody's anything.
yeah, and the person got to analyse when he got the chat GPT thing, the custom GPT to analyse Patricia Krenwinkel's stabbing of Abigail Folger. It said that she didn't act like someone who was trained. She didn't seem to be going, but Tex does. Tex goes for their chest cavity.
Right.
But Patricia Krenwinkel, it tracks as just random. She didn't know what she was doing. They were not. Tex has to come in at the end and finish her with a chest wound. Yeah.
They also probably, she made a porno with Manson and Clem while she was there real quick, and then,
Well, I know there's always been a rumor that Jay Sebring had a porno with Susan. Susan was sucking off Jay Sebring, and there was a video of that, which would be a
totally
terrible.
checks out.
If that ever came out, though, that would be terrible, wouldn't it? It would look terrible. So they've
Well,
probably
yeah.
covered that up, and that tape's been totally destroyed. You'll never find that now. Fucking every copy of it got found and destroyed.
Probably had it in the collection of somebody like Roy Raiden, and that's why he was killed
Yeah.
in the whole aftermath of that Son of Sam thing, and his stuff got all
Yeah.
cleaned out. Those
Well, Hugh
huge-
Hefner's fucking tape collection. Imagine what Hugh Hefner must have had.
Oh yeah, the rich
Yeah.
snuff film and celebrity porn
Mm.
collections of some of these powerful
Young girls as
billionaire
well.
type.
People like Brooke Shields was in Playboy when she was a child, wasn't she? And shit like that. It's really shocking some of the
Gross.
shit that went on in Playboy. Like underage girls were in that magazine, and fucking he got away with it. I don't know how he got away with fucking publishing that. How even in those days, surely that wasn't fucking legal. But he got away with it, didn't he?
No,
No, and
they haven't.
they're saying that they've been lost as well. I'm being told privately that law enforcement doesn't have them anymore. They fucking
Yeah,
lost them. But I don't believe that. I don't believe that.
it's a
But that's
lie.
what they're saying. They're saying they haven't got them at all. And if
They're
they're
tired of
totally sealed.
they're tired of
Mm.
people asking for them. They're tired
Yeah,
of the
that's it.
Freedom
Yeah,
of
yeah.
Information Act. They're like, stop.
Yeah, we've lost them. We don't know where they are.
I don't have a source, but I believe that there is one. Wouldn't surprise me. Checks out.
No, that's oh god, Neil Sanders' book. That comes from Charles Manson. A journalist said, the journalist asked Charles Manson, "We've heard that there's a tape of Susan Atkins and Wojtek Frykowski," and Charles Manson gives this really weird answer, like, "No, she loved sucking dick. She had a couple of dicks herself. You've got the wrong one." And meaning, and obviously, if you translate the Charlie riddle, he means it's Jay Sebring. Jay Sebring was the one that
Right.
she was in the video with. He doesn't say it directly. He comes out with this fucking weird Charlie riddle, but he's basically saying it wasn't Frykowski, it was Jay Sebring.
Yeah, Charlie's not a snitch, so he's not going to say it
Mm.
outright, but he'll leave the
Yeah,
clues
so he
for
wouldn't. He
you to put
wouldn't
it
say. Yeah,
together.
he says enough for you to put it together. But the guy asked him that we've heard was a video of her with Frykowski, and he says, no, she loves sucking dick though. No, but you've got the wrong guy. It was, but he doesn't directly say it. But he's obviously that's what he means. Yeah.
Lookmill says
Oh,
that LAPD never
Yeah.
had the text tapes.
Oh, they're all there on the
Oh, sorry.
playback to watch. So yeah, they're all there on playback to watch if you have missed them. That's the thing, because like I say, I'm really trying to summarize the fucking the important information to really make the points that I wanted to make all these years. But I've rambled too much and read out too much source material. But I still want to read out the whole of what Garrettson said at Texas trial, because that's interesting.
What's
Yeah,
the
Charlie
evidence?
fucking lied all the time, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, it's all evidence that Charlie lied. But the thing about it
But
is,
yeah,
whenever you look back and you look at what he said, his
yeah.
account of what happened is really the only one that totally makes actual sense and truth.
Yeah.
So
No, that
I mean,
wasn't said to fucking Paul Krasner. It's in bloody Neil Sanders' book. I think it might have been, was it Reagan's son, when Reagan's son interviewed him? It was a question he asked him, and he gives a really weird, truncated answer, but he basically is saying, no, it wasn't Frykowski, it was Jay Sebring that's in the video that he filmed. He filmed her. But yeah, there's a whole thing I can go into about how Charles Manson acts crazy so he can suddenly say something truthful and get away with it. There's actually a whole fucking word for it, and it's a defense that criminals use.
maybe it wasn't a Hell's Angel. Maybe it was Al
Yeah,
Springer.
Bill Boyd said that,
Craig
yeah, as well.
Stevens.
Yeah. No, but he specifically said a Hell's Angel, and there's this weird cryptic thing Manson said about a Hell's Angel as well, isn't there?
Well, Manson thought he'd killed a Black Panther too, but lots of
Yeah,
Papa
that's
wasn't a
it.
fucking Black Panther, so he didn't.
He wasn't even a Black Panther, and he hadn't killed him
Right.
as well, had he?
He
But
hadn't
I have
killed,
trouble
right.
believing they never heard that he was still alive, because they knew. Unless they got so paranoid they weren't going out and contacting people anymore. But people were refusing, shutting doors on them and that, weren't they now? So maybe they
Yeah,
lost their
Debbie,
connection, so they didn't know he was still alive.
we've all read Chaos,
Yeah.
and it's good. I mean, it's got some good information. I don't know, he spends a little too much time trying to do
Yeah.
the MK Ultra thing, but at least he shows Bugliosi to be the world-class prick that he is, you know?
Yeah. Right after the murders happened, there was magazine articles saying they found tapes at the house and shit like that. You know, they
Oh,
always
yeah.
kept talking about that.
And because of these rumors and because of what we've
Yeah.
known about Hollywood and what we've been told and all that stuff, it's almost like, well, that
Yeah.
ties in to this.
Well,
and
I'm
that
interested in Bobby's connection to this Gerard agency, and there was a soft porn film made that is confirmed, and it Ramrodder was made. That's Gypsy and Bobby. And also Bill Vance could develop film as well. He had a film developing facility. So that, I think they're just blaming
and-
Manson. There was a lot of
and
men involved. It wasn't just Manson.
Dennis Wilson bought the video equipment
Mm.
for him. Dennis Wilson and Terry
Yeah.
Melcher left video equipment
Yeah.
out there for them to make movies, and there was an ABC
Yeah.
TV crew that came out and filmed
They'll
a
say
bunch
as well
of stuff.
they'll say they've only got fucking Manson's word for that though. That's the thing the skeptics say, because that's only Manson's word that he got bought that $5,000 tape recorder thing. Yeah, there's no fucking confirmation of that. No police report saying they found that or anything.
Well, yeah, they all came
Yeah.
and got all that shit, and it all got taken
Yeah.
away. And
Yeah.
the thing is none of that footage
Yeah.
is available anymore. Like, it all
Yeah.
disappeared.
Yeah. Well, they say Bill Vance destroyed a lot because he would have been the person responsible for the tapes and that, because he had the developing facility and that apparently. But they're supposed to have stolen camera equipment from a news crew as well, aren't they? That's another place they're supposed to have got camera equipment from. But where were they getting the new tapes for the camera as well? That's the thing, because they only would have had whatever tape was in the camera, wouldn't they?
Well, they most likely, received
Yeah.
whenever they dropped off
Yeah.
what they had recorded, they would get
No,
a
it wasn't
cachet
the
of new
camera,
way.
Josh. It was the thing that could play the tapes. It would have been like a fucking TV monitor with a fucking thing you could put the tapes
With
in,
a
and that was the thing that is supposed to
VCR.
have cost $5,000, isn't it? That he talks about in the Hollywood Reporter interview. You know all this, Josh.
And yeah, 1969, that they didn't really have the $50 VCR that you could buy in
No, that didn't.
1985.
And Manson also said that this thing, it played tapes that only these guys from the porno network had. It
Right.
wasn't even the usual tapes that other things were on. So they had their own brand of tape or something, apparently, he's trying to say.
That too. So they had stolen that.
Yeah, they had apparently robbed a truck, yeah, and they had
Yep,
recording
they had
equipment from that.
all kinds of video
Yeah.
equipment and recording equipment out there. People were plying them with all the tools of the trade.
Oh.
It's called Manson. That's just the name of it. And it was by Robert Hendrickson. There's
Yeah.
two of them, two of the movies.
You can find the footage remastered as well. They did a documentary in the UK where they showed a lot of the footage remastered, so it looks clearer and the colours are brighter and all that. Yeah, but yeah, a lot of the footage, if you watch the whole thing, is quite dodgy. Some of the footage of the kids and that, it shouldn't really be on YouTube. You know what I mean? The stuff that's happening with kids and that. It's like, oh my god.
TJ the Terrible and Clem. Yeah.
Yeah, Clem. There's footage of a little girl on Clem's lap. There's a really questionable bit, and it's like, what the fuck's going on there, sort of thing. Yeah, yeah.
TJ the Terrible too, riding around with a girl. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And there's that Brooks Poston said that apparently they used to leave the children down by a river just unattended for the guys to go and interfere with them and stuff like that. So
And
people
the
that defend
girls
Manson
too. They
shouldn't
would
defend. Yeah, yeah.
they would they would fillet the little boys and
Yeah,
and
that was
stuff
it.
like
Yeah,
that.
they all said that, didn't they? Susan said that she did it, and they tried to sell a woman a baby and said you must give him a blowjob every day as well. Apparently, yeah.
He likes it.
Well, it's
Yeah.
what he's used to, or whatever, for God's sake.
They
That's
were
a section of feds they'd have gone to. They should have fucking been convicted of that in them days as well. They didn't, did they? But yeah, they would be nowadays.
they were in Hollywood.
Yeah, well, and it was getting fucking weird, wasn't it? People were trying to fucking normalize all sorts of shit that should never be normalized.
Parents were selling their kids to people like Don Henley and stuff like that, dropping
Yeah.
their kids off at stars' houses because even
Child
if
actors, yeah, trying to get your kid a famous child actor so you can
That's
make
it.
millions off them and that, innit? Yeah.
have that life.
Yeah, also stuff. There's some of the stories of these child actors as well. There was a girl that died and when she was only 19, fucking after being a child star in a sitcom, in a family sitcom, and she died ODing in some beach house when she was only about 19 years old. God knows what happened to her to leave her in that state. And Mackenzie Phillips was in one of these shows as well, wasn't she? I think she
Sure.
was a bit older then. She wasn't that young, but she was in a
She
show,
was
wasn't
in
she? Yeah.
called One Day at a Time when she was from like
Yeah, that's the
12
one.
to
Yeah,
19.
yeah.
Yeah, no, Charlie was really charismatic, man. We wouldn't be talking about him right now if he wasn't. This story wouldn't have the pop that it has.
Yeah, well, this is how he drew in people, isn't it, as well? He must have had charm. Look at how he charmed his way into these people's lives, and people took him seriously. You listen to Greg Jacobson being interviewed by Bugliosi about Charlie. They sat and listened to his spiritual stuff, with a bated breath going, oh my God, this guy's really big. And apparently Terry Melcher was really into him. And it got covered up how much he got into him. They thought they had found Jesus and all that, But they've tried to play that down, obviously, because it looks bad for the Beach Boys and everyone's legacy, doesn't it? But yeah.
Well, they were all trafficking underage girls with each other too. That's the
Yeah,
whole
as
thing that
well.
they're really wanting to cover up, because
Yeah,
Jacobson and Dennis Wilson and Melcher not only were banging these underage girls,
yeah.
they were making movies with them
Sorry.
too.
Arissa Jones, that's the one who was only 19 when she died of a drug overdose, and she was really young when she was a child star. She looked about 8, 9, 10, maybe younger, from a family affair, the young girl. She ended up ODing in a beach house when she was only 19, and she emancipated herself from her parents when she was really young and all that. And,
Heather Rourke was probably ritual
yeah,
sacrifice, you know.
yeah, I know she did. Really, don't fucking go fucking fuel that, because she really did have a bowel condition that she died of. It's been totally debunked that her death was anything but natural from her bowel condition she already had. And you can see her face getting puffy because of the medication she's on and all that.
The last Poltergeist movie, she was getting puffier, and they actually used a body
Yeah,
double for some of the scenes. They had to finish
yeah.
with her, but you
Oh my
know,
God, there was this story as well. You didn't see her so much because she was a voice in animation, but she was the voice of the little girl in All Dogs Go to Heaven, and the voice of, you remember the dinosaur film? What was it fucking called?
Land
The
Before Time.
Land Before Time. She was one of the voices of Land Before Time, and her mother were murdered by her father. And it was so fucking tragic that it just didn't. They didn't talk about it for years. But that's another child star that was fucking. And apparently the mother was asking for help, but people thought she was just attention seeking and told her to divorce him. And she went home and he murdered them both before they could leave. Basically, it's horrible.
Mm.
So that's the little girl who was the little girl in All Dogs Go to Heaven, and she probably would have got into films pretty quickly, but it was her voice that was famous. She got murdered before she could do films. Poor kid.
It's horrible.
Yeah, Ducky. Yeah, she was Ducky in Land Before Time.
I just couldn't imagine
Yeah,
a situation like that. Yeah.
yeah, with your own father. Fucking
Ugh.
hell. Yeah, and like I say, it was just so tragic they didn't publicise it at the time because it was children's media that she was in, weren't it? How could you tell children, oh, this little girl's just been murdered by a psycho father? Yeah. What?
Ducky's dead, y'all.
Yeah, that's it. She got fucking strangled to death by her own dad. Fucking hell.
Well, that's just it, Johnny. Yeah.
Uh.
None of it's surprising.
Oh, the Nick Reiner situation as well, Sam Reiner. I've seen there was a podcast that one of his friends did. Nick Reiner, you know, a long-standing family friend, and he basically says that Sam Reiner was using fixers instead of calling the police whenever he did something like throw a chair through a window or whatever. He got fixers to
Sure.
cover it up instead of getting him arrested and getting him the proper help, and then calling a private psychiatrist and that, you know. So he wasn't ever really getting arrested and facing consequences for the shit he did. His dad was constantly using fixers to sort it out.
No accountability.
And the mother apparently rang this guy and was asking about having panic rooms built in his house, in her house, having a safe room built, you know, a room you can lock yourself in.
Sure.
So she was obviously getting scared. And he just said to her, change all the locks, change the security code so he can't get in. She didn't, obviously, and she never
Too
got
late.
the safe room. It was too late, yeah. But she was getting nervous. He had obviously was getting violent and she was scared. She rang a guy and asked him about it.
Canny, Charlie was a good musician. He was a good songwriter too, and he wasn't pissed at Dennis or Melcher. Honestly, I think that's just part of the helter skelter narrative, the bullshit. Reality is Neil Young gave Charlie a motorcycle and pitched him to Mo Austin at Reprise Records. Charlie went and recorded at Brian Wilson's house, and Melcher had given him money. The Beach Boys
Yeah,
bought one of
they
his
had a
songs.
band planned. They had taken
Yep.
the cover art for it. They were going to call it the Family
Family
Jam. That's
Jam.
where the Manson
Yep.
family actually comes from. Because apparently to Hollywood they were known as Charlie and his girls.
Right.
The Family was going to be the band they formed, and that got taken on by the press, and they became the Charles Manson family. But they were not called the Family before. They were just Charles Manson and his girls. Apparently.
And they even bought "Never Learn Not to Love" for $100,000 and put it on the 2020 album, and Charlie got a gold record for that.
Yeah.
So the idea that he was this failed musician and was mad at the Hollywood elite for not accepting him just isn't true. Because if that's failing in the music industry, well, I would fucking love to fail like that. Let me hang out with the top musicians who like my songwriting and whatnot and want to put my songs on their records and stuff like that. Because if all you got to do is keep writing songs, and eventually somebody's going to grab one and turn it into a giant hit, and you're going to be made. And that's how you do it. Or Family Jam would have kind of became this culty, kitschy thing, and that would have led to something else, and someone else would have. So yeah.
Sorry. Ronald Hughes is buried with Marilyn Monroe in the same casket. What? And is Anna Nicole Smith on top of them both? Yeah.
Jim Morrison presided over the service.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. No, Elvis did the service. Yeah, because he faked his death as well.
Yeah.
Obviously. Yeah.
Amelia
Oh,
Earhart flew them
there's
for their
even a theory
honeymoon.
even a theory I stumbled across whilst researching Kurt Cobain that Kurt Cobain faked his death because he was sick of fame and he's still alive somewhere.
I mean, but you have enough money, you ain't even got to fake your death. You can just quit. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
the
that's
whole
it. He
thing.
could have just he didn't need to really, did he? Because he didn't sound like he had an extravagant life. You know, he bought clothes in thrift stores and he he,
Nah,
he, he could just live off the money he'd earned for the rest of his life, couldn't he? You know what I mean?
2020 wasn't a failure. It definitely sold well. It was a gold record, and it had "Do It Again," which was a giant hit. It was the biggest hit they had had in years. It'd been their biggest hit since "Good Vibrations" and "Wouldn't It Be Nice." Like that. That was their
Yeah.
biggest record
Anna
in a
Nicole,
while.
yeah. So I've still got to look that up, Jim, because I'm sure I heard that, and that's a fact. Anna Nicole Smith got buried very near Marilyn Monroe. Her mother had it done, but said it was a wish, and somehow Anna Nicole Smith is. But yeah, I'm sure that is a fact. I'll have to fucking try and find that. Yeah,
She had enough money.
yeah.
Yeah, most songs are gibberish.
And
Period.
her life seems
So,
really fucking weird and MK Ultra and ritualistic as well. Have you ever looked at Anna Nicole Smith?
oh yeah, yeah,
Her
for
life
sure.
looks weird as fuck, and there's that footage of her with the face paint on, and she looks like she's tripping or something, but she's acting like a child. And everyone's saying it's an alter ego. She's got a child alter ego because she's been MK Ultra fucking programmed or whatever.
2020 was not a hit, but "Do It Again," the first song on the album, was. And 2020 did go gold. And I don't know if it was immediately a gold record. Well, it had to have been because Charlie Manson got a gold record for writing the song, and he gave it to the owner of Myers Ranch for them staying out there. So,
It's more to do with Wojciech Wachowski and Abigail Folger directly. They're supposed to have had some of this MDMA or MDA. Sorry, MDA. It wasn't MDMA yet, was it? It was MDA, and
yeah.
been burned on it somehow. Either the drugs hadn't arrived, they'd handed over money and not received the drugs yet, or whatever.
So
But
the
it's thought to be
Canadians,
it was actually
they,
directly to do with the guys living in the house, not the fact Melcher had lived there, which is what they tried to tell you, isn't it? Yeah, that he sent them to kill everyone in the house to intimidate Melcher or whatever. But
the Canadians had been their source for MDA, but I think that they had probably fucked them over, and then the doiling happened, and so they weren't getting MDA from them anymore. And Roman Polanski was shipping drugs over from England, from the UK, in these trunks, and one of the trunks got seized, and so they didn't get the expected shipment. I think they'd already taken the money from Linda Kasabian and Tex Watson. And
yeah,
so when the trunks arrived, Tex and Linda may have been tipped off by somebody like Stephen Perrin or something, or that, the
Garrison,
rumor.
yeah,
Yeah, the rumor in Hollywood was that, oh, there's going to be a party there, lots of drugs at Cielo tonight, blah, blah, blah.
yeah.
But the trunks that showed up
Or
were,
the stuff's coming in for a party another
yeah,
night or whatever. Yeah, but this is the night.
and
The
the
drugs
trunks
have
that
got
showed
dropped.
up
Yeah,
were full of Sharon's clothes
yeah,
because the trunk with the drugs got seized by the FBI. And so
yeah.
they may have showed up just to get their money or get their drugs. And when they got there, they had neither.
They
Frank,
needed money, and there's also the save a brother motive. They were
favorite
trying to do
brother.
something to make it look like there was another killer at large, so they could free Bobby. It's a fucking really complex motive, and so they chose someone that they had an argument with, and it's something to do with this MDA.
They go there and
Basically, yeah,
they need the
it's
money
got
to
to be, yeah,
to bail Bobby out was part of the whole
yeah.
thing too. They were trying to get money to bail him out.
But Manson says he was mostly concerned with bailing a follower out of jail and called a meeting to say, get the money.
And they said, how do we do it? I said, don't ask me how to do it. I don't want to be no part of no conspiracy. But however you do it and get it done now. If it don't get done, then I'll move on it.
And if they couldn't get the money to bail him out and you don't have our stuff, well, then we're going to do a copycat and we're going to make it look like, so it
Yeah.
kind of shifts. But they chose that house for
And which
all
individual
kinds
girls?
of
I think Leslie only got involved for the
all
save a
kinds of
brother
reasons that
reason.
had
I don't think she
nothing.
gave a shit about anything else, but all she cared about was Bobby. I don't think she even gave that much of a shit about Manson.
But
She just said that later because that helped her defense.
yeah,
I just
suffice
want
it
to
to
talk about
say,
Anna Nicole Smith again. Sorry, I've got this comment on the screen. Fraser's having over. Yeah, the footage of her is downright disturbing, and there's loads of footage of her where she looks drugged, and everyone says that she was just a drug addict. She was taking this shit, on her own. But it does seem like a lot of people are enabling it and providing her with the drugs and that, and fucking. But there was reality TV shows of her, and she's just totally wasted the whole time. She can barely stand up in a lot of the fucking episodes and that in it. It's really odd.
but yeah, so there was
Yeah.
absolutely no proof at all that the killers
Yeah.
were sent by Manson to get retribution on Terry Melcher and to scare him by killing everybody there that wasn't Terry Melcher. Like that's just a dumb thing.
No, yeah, I think there were other motives. It was directly to do with the people that were living there at the time. I think they had
Yeah.
beef with Frykowski and Folger, possibly Folger, if Folger was involved as well. And also they wanted money to try and get a lawyer for Bobby. So I think they possibly asked Folger for money, and she said, "No, I'm not going to help you out now." After what's happened, and that maybe turned into an argument. I think that's a possibility as well. But a lot of people don't believe the Manson family really knew Abigail Folger, but I believe they did. I believe they met her at the Haight-Ashbury and they knew her well.
The free clinic. They were in and out of the free
Yeah.
clinic all the time, and she worked out of there.
And she had given Manson money. I can believe she was another one of these rich women that was charmed by Manson and who
But-
gave Manson money.
Hey,
But
there's,
it's impossible to prove because they've covered it up. They don't want anyone to find out. Their family don't want it to come out and all that sort of shit, so it's being covered up.
there's
Yeah.
FBI documents that say that trunks were confiscated with
Yeah.
drugs, and Roman Polanski was being watched for selling drugs.
Yeah,
That
that's what the
totally
fucking thing
makes
says.
Totally makes sense as to
Memos,
why
Jeffrey
he
Customs,
why
yeah.
he wanted Frykowski and Gibby to stay there at that house and sell his drugs for him too. That's really the only reason that makes sense of why he wanted them there, because they're terrible fucking roommates, terrible house guests. Yeah.
Yeah, and they weren't due to arrive until quite a while after the murders as well. The trunks that were intercepted, they were fucking sent a long time because it takes a long time to fucking sail trunks from Southampton to America. You know what I mean? It takes weeks. So like they were fucking.
They were sent with the
Yeah,
trunks that arrived. They were sent with the trunks that had Sharon's clothes in it. They were all
Yeah.
supposed to get there that Friday. It
Yeah,
did. It
that's
takes like
fucking-
2 weeks. Takes
yeah.
like 2 weeks to get over
The
there.
MDA came from Canada though. Whittle K says that Frykowski went and picked up a guy from the airport to get the MDA.
Not after the
because it was
doiling.
it's a joke thing. Yeah. Yeah. Well, this is the thing. The doiling happened far closer to the murders. And I have read the report, Josh. I'm not going to argue with you anymore. Fucking hell. I've said all I'm going to say about it.
James, we've got to
It's
get
an
over
instruction to customs. Yeah.
reducing women down to their body parts, sir.
Yeah.
Anna Nicole was much more than just her breasts.
Yeah. And it's weird how she's another one that looks like she got passed around rich men and was fucking exploited a lot. And like I say, so maybe she is a fucking candidate for one of these MK Ultra sex slaves. They tried to create a
Britney
sex slave
Spears.
with her. But yeah, and she's another one. There's fucking footage of her having personality changes on camera and that, isn't there? It's like, oh my god.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's now a debate about the person who's making all the fucking Instagram videos and that. There's people saying that isn't really fucking Britney Spears. It's just someone that looks like her. And if you analyze the shape of her body and that, it is obviously a different woman.
They're saying the guy pretending to be Jim Carrey isn't Jim Carrey now, too.
Well, there is some footage. Have you seen? There's a guy at an award show, and it obviously isn't Jim Carrey, right? I think that it's been done as some kind of hoax, or Jim Carrey just sent a body double or whatever. But it really obviously just isn't Jim Carrey. It's someone playing Jim Carrey. The guy's eyes are a completely different color, and it does look like there's possibly a top face mask on him. Do you know what I mean? There's like latex on the top of his face, or the top of his face. But it clearly isn't Jim Carrey, and it was just fucking exactly. And I think Jim Carrey's done it as a hoax. He doesn't want to appear in public anymore or whatever. But I also do wonder if they fucking bumped him off because he's come out with crazy stuff standing at the podium when he's collecting rewards and stuff like that recently. Yeah.
Brian Wilson definitely liked to do the cocaine. He was also very partial to underage girls. In fact,
Joints as
dating.
well. Apparently, he had a lot
Yeah.
of weed psychosis. So weed was a big problem for him.
And
apparently,
he, I think his wife Marilyn was was really infatuated with her younger sister Diane and had affairs with her starting when she was like 16.
But yeah, and Dennis Wilson, he obviously didn't learn his lesson from the Manson family. If you look at the pictures of him with Sean, the young girl he married, and how young
Sean
she
Love.
looked as well.
Yeah, Sean
she,
Love.
she is apparently 16 in these photos, but she looks younger. Do you know what
12.
I mean? It's
She
oh
looks
my-
like 12. Yeah.
She looks 12. Yeah. It's like, oh my
That's-
god, how
Woof.
could you, sort of thing. And the look on his face as well is so predatory. That was what disturbed me the most about that picture. The look on his face. He's like, fuck you, I'm gonna. And they say it was just as a fuck you to Mike Love, but it's like, what? That makes it even worse. You know what I
makes
mean?
it
That's like,
worse.
what? Yeah.
You don't ever want to be the guy that's like,
Yeah.
well, yeah, she's really mature for her age and we have
Yeah.
a great connection and blah, 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 because all that
Yeah.
means is, she believes your bullshit. But yeah, at
Yeah.
that point, he really didn't even love her. All he wanted to do was fuck his cousin around.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
piss his
just
cousin off.
upset him. Yeah. That's it. And it's like, what the fuck?
So
It
gross.
doesn't justify it at all. If anything, it makes it worse, doesn't it? So I think he did end up having feelings for her. He sang emotional songs about it. And apparently, she attacked him the night before he died as well, because he had marks on his head from being attacked. It comes up in his autopsy report. But they say that's not related to his death. It wasn't related to his death, but it was the night before at a hotel.
Oh, it was a very
Slaps him
volatile
around the head.
relationship. Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
very,
yeah,
very volatile relationship, and she had no emotional regulation. But what the fuck do you expect
yeah.
whenever you're with a
Yeah, you do that to a
17-year-old?
16-year-old. Yeah, that's it.
Duh.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, she's not an adult. She doesn't have a
And she's had
fully
a
formed
baby as well. Yeah, having a baby fucks with a
prefrontal
woman's
cortex,
hormones. That's it. Yeah.
and yeah, postpartum,
Mm.
and she's you're a fucking
Mm.
idiot, bro.
Mm.
Yeah, duh.
That's it. It's really quite shocking.
Yeah, but I'm not her provider, so I can't say
Yeah.
anything about that at all. I mean, obviously, you don't want to be driving with a blood alcohol over the legal
Yeah.
limit and doing
Was she
Adderall.
trying to get away from something as well? Makes you wonder.
Mm.
Yeah, it's worrying what's happening to her.
Well, it's not MK Ultra with him being let out of prison so many times. What it is how many times he should have went back to prison while he was out is
Yeah,
the
and
real
Susan
question.
Atkins as well. Susan Atkins was on parole and was asking to move to another part of the country and that.
All those
Yeah.
girls in that Witches of Mendocino thing should have went to prison in '68.
Yeah, for a longer time. They went for a little while, didn't they? But they got released.
I think they just had to pay a fine, and
And
then also
no, they did go to jail for a bit. They were in jail for a bit because Squeaky talks about going to meet them when they come out of jail.
Gotcha.
Michael Atkins and Mary Brunner were in jail for a bit, weren't they? And the baby went to Manson's parole officer.
Roger
seems
Smith
odd.
drove all the way up to Mendocino
Yeah.
and got the baby, and also
And he made statements.
for the girls.
If you subscribe to Bo Emerson, who's the guy who does CieloDrive.com's Patreon, they've got he's got the documents showing Roger Smith writing letters on behalf of Mary Brunner.
A killer.
And stuff like that. Yeah.
And
well, at the
Susan
time
Atkins.
she wasn't. At the time they weren't. Well, this is the Mendocino.
Yeah, but here's
thing,
the
they
deal.
may be LSD,
In his statements, he talks about what great people they are and how they're going to do great things for society, and that's why they need to be fucking let out. And this is all a mistake, and blah blah blah, bullshit. And then they get out, and they're a bunch of fucking killers.
Yeah,
They
look
get
what
arrested
they do.
for killing.
Brunner got complete immunity as well, and they regretted giving her full immunity apparently when they realised how involved she was. They thought she had just stood and watched, but when they heard that she was really involved in the holding the pillow over his face at the end, and
So I don't know is that the connection is directly to Charlie in so much as that Charlie's a patsy for it all. How they let him out, but the way that MK Ultra works and the way they have handlers with the FBI and the CIA is that it could have been anybody at Spawn Ranch, and there were undercovers there at Spawn Ranch. And how the fuck do you know when you've got so many people coming and going? And the whole idea of being there is that you lose yourself and you lose time, and they stop calling themselves their given names, so you don't even know who the fuck this person really is. So there's undercovers with the straight Satans, there's undercovers in the family at Spawn Ranch. That's where your MK Ultra angle comes in. And so they
probably
kept
FBI undercover as well. There's probably undercover FBI that the police don't know about, so you wouldn't hear that from the police.
Sure.
It's the CIA that had permission to operate for MK Ultra in America, because normally they're not allowed to operate on American soil either. They're meant to operate abroad.
They're not supposed
but they
to.
they got permission to do it for MK Ultra though, so they could have been. The CIA could have been.
Absolutely.
I don't believe they were though. I think that they just got used at the end to fucking bring down the counterculture at the end, because the counterculture was getting too successful, and you know.
But they were also using the counterculture to spread the LSD for the MK Ultra. So it was like they were playing both sides. They were doing it just to amp up the fear and the division.
Yeah.
You know? They were playing
and it
both
resulted
sides
in that. So they had to fucking destroy any evidence they was there, sort of thing. You know, because fucking they caused it. Because if the LSD contributed, I think it did. Fucking listen to those kids' testimony. What I was reading earlier, fucking LSD influenced them. They were fucked. You know.
They were trashed.
They took LSD very regularly, and the LSD was stronger than anything we ever see today. Do you know what I mean? In them days, it was orange sunshine shit they were taking, wasn't it? Every day.
What they have now mostly is what I would refer to as cocktail acid, which is like 60 to 100 micrograms, whereas back then a hit was like 1,000. You know. They would just take liquid.
Really did fucking blow your mind, yeah.
It really did. It made you see things.
Yeah.
Mendocino bus, all about saying, no, they were having sex with underage boys. And
yeah,
shit.
the lad went home. A lad went home and told his mother his legs were snakes because he was tripping on LSD.
Told dad, who was a sheriff. His dad was a sheriff, and
that's why they got arrested.
100%. So it was a bit more than just some kids.
Dean Morehouse. It sounds similar to what Dean Morehouse does as well. This is the other thing. Dean Morehouse retaught them about all this, giving other kids LSD, and you know, because that's what he was doing. He went to prison for that. He went to court for it and got away with it once, but then got imprisoned later, didn't he, or whatever? Yeah. It's crazy. And that they left Ruth Ann Morehouse alone with the Manson family as well once he got in prison. And her mother tried to get her back, but she refused to go with her.
Yeah, so Terry Melcher said some shit, but that had nothing to do with why they fucking went to that house at Cielo Drive. Okay? Just boop. And in fact, Terry Melcher went out to Spawn Ranch and all the way to fucking Death Valley Barker Ranch
Yeah, that's it.
long after the Moker several times. So that's all bullshit. And it's
He
been
was still
documented
seeing them,
bullshit.
yeah. Yeah, that's it. Apparently, yeah. Bugliosi had crossed out handwritten notes. Danny DiCarlo told him he saw Terry Melcher after the murders coming to the ranch still. So he was obviously very close to him. And Rudy Altabelli told Tom O'Neill Melcher was obsessed with Manson, thought he was Jesus or whatever, and he was going to try and make him a star. And they've played that down a lot, haven't they? You read the official Beach Boys narrative on it, and they say, "Oh no, Melcher didn't like him really, you know, and only saw him once or twice. He only came to Brian Wilson's house once, and his wife disinfected the toilet seats after they left." But that's bullshit, apparently. Yeah.
Yeah, Colonel Paul Tate, man, Lookout
Yeah.
Mountain, bro. That's the whole thing about this
Yeah.
too. Is we're talking about Laurel Canyon, we're talking about Lookout Mountain, we're talking about the entertainment arm of the military-industrial complex here. Is what this is.
Yeah,
so.
I'm surprised it's never come out that any of the Manson girls had military fathers as well. Some of them must have, surely, because of World War II, because everyone's dad had to serve in World War II, and a lot of men stayed in the military after World War II, didn't they? That's why there's such a large amount of men in the military as fathers to this generation, you know.
It was a good career, a good retirement plan, you know.
Yeah, oh, sorry. That's made it zoom in on me. Get out.
Yeah, Paul Tate was in the CIA, Colonel Paul Tate. And he did his own investigation after.
Yeah. Well, Reeve Whitson's the other crazy one, yeah, and his cousin, Clyde, was definitely a CIA consultant in the end, and he definitely was FBI. And Reeve Whitson, there's no fucking record of him ever earning any money ever, so, like, how the fuck did he live? You know, he has no social security record at all.
Well, again, Lookout Mountain being
Yeah.
the entertainment arm of this military-industrial complex, he probably got his checks from, like, Paramount Pictures or some shit. You know? I mean, I'm serious.
Yeah.
He was paid security for them. It was Inside Edition.
Yeah.
Marilyn Wilson didn't like the girls coming over with him for that reason.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, no, apparently when Nicholas interviewed her, she said that isn't true as well, because Nicholas Schreck actually interviewed Brian Wilson's wife, and she said it's not true, that she fucking disinfected the toilet seats, so it was bullshit.
She's like, oh, I never would do that.
No, and she was like, yeah, apparently it wasn't like that. And they weren't scared of Charlie even after the murders had happened. She said, we felt no fear of Charlie. Yeah, we weren't scared of him. He had no problem with us. Yeah, we had no problem with him. Yeah.
Yeah, he was bringing drugs and girls.
Yeah, that was it with Brian. Yeah, he kept Brian quiet. He gave him loads of drugs and girls.
Don't know,
No,
never
but they
saw
covered
it.
that up as well. They probably covered that up. The girls were told never
did.
to say they did Brian as well as Dennis. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, y'all.
Yeah, so thanks for coming, guys, and we'll see you next week. And this will go up on Jeremy's channel later, I suppose. Yeah, you can.
I got a couple of them to get done and put up, man. It's been a lot going on.
I have had to delete one. I had to delete last week's one to make room. So if you didn't get that, yeah, you got to get them down quite quick. So I have to delete them to make room for recordings. Yeah, that's okay.
For sure.
Right. Yeah, I'll see you next week anyway, guys. Not sure exactly what I'm going to be talking about yet, but yeah. But I might make that point about what we were saying about is Charlie lying. And there's actually a fucking defense that they can use where by saying a lot of crazy stuff, you can suddenly say something that's true and you don't look like a snitch. There's a word for it. And the Manson family do it a lot. Charles Manson obviously taught Susan Atkins to do it, advised her to do it as well. But there's a way you can suddenly drop the truth by saying a load of stuff either side of it that sounds absolutely crazy. You can drop the truth and no one will ever believe you, so you don't look like a snitch. Yeah.
And there's also some discrepancies about the account of night 2 at the La Biancas, so that could also.
Oh, no one. Yeah, we have no reliable account of what the fuck happened there as well.
Correct.
It's like we don't
take
know.
that one apart as well.
Yeah, and there's not enough photos of the crime scene made public as well. They've hidden a lot of the photos of Lino and all that. You can't find anything.
Yep.
They're hiding a lot about what the fuck happened to the La Biancas, I think. Anyway, yeah. See you next week, guys. Thanks for coming.